So we are now live. Excited today because we're going to be talking about the documentary Russ Taff, I Still Believe. Got a couple of announcements to kind of get out of the way. Some business. First, one milestone for this channel. I did an unboxing for the new Michael Sweet album about a month ago, and for some reason that thing has taken off. It is the first video on this channel to eclipse 1,200 views. And
Did
so
you
that's
watch
pretty
it
cool.
1,100 times?
Huh?
Did you watch it 1,100 times?
Yes. And so it was a lot of hard work.
Congratulations to you.
to get it all the way up to 1,200 views. And it looks like it might break 13. Those numbers aren't staggering by any means, but for this little channel, another little milestone we might be having coming up soon is 400 subscribers.
Nice.
Up to 391 last time I looked. And so
this might do
it. Pretty excited about that. While we're here, I guess I could go over, since it doesn't look like there's too many folks in the room, I could post a link again in the Russ Taff room.
There's nobody here to watch us yet?
I don't think so. Not yet.
Tragic.
Oh,
let's see. Where can I find that? There it is.
What's your coffee cup say on the other side? Is it just plain white?
Do what now?
no.
Nice.
I woke up like this.
Oh my.
But I can't wake up if I don't go to sleep. So it should say I stayed up like this. Oh, nice. It ate king queen. All right, Dale, what's yours say?
Oh, I don't have a coffee cup. I just got some. Got my Propel here.
Nice.
Let's see. We are
wasting time.
Live and waiting for you.
So should I
I'm
start?
doing this. Do what now?
Should I go ahead and start while you're doing other things?
Should you go ahead and start?
Yeah. I mean, it's 8:03.
Oh, I keep forgetting it's past your bedtime already.
We're getting there.
Okay.
Hold on.
Well,
Ryder's bedtime.
part of me's kind of curious. How are you? Well, all right. First of all, there's nobody in the room for me to even say this to. So if we do get comments, we'll do the kind of like periodically through the live stream. What is all that clicking? What is that?
What's happening?
You have the volume up, way up, don't you? You re-recorded him. You have the volume up, way up. Oh, what?
That's somebody else. That's not me. I don't have any volume up.
I love messing with you. God, I love it.
Oh, she has it on a different one.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. So we got pranks tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, we're 4 minutes in. You ain't talked about nothing yet.
So first off, Dale, to start, I guess it off is what made you choose this? What was your main reason for wanting to do this YouTube chat with Russ?
Well, where to start? First, Russ Taff is my favorite artist all time. bar none.
Not just
So-
gospel. Your favorite all time.
Oh yeah,
Cool.
yeah. Ever since the day I first heard him sing, been my absolute favorite. So,
Okay.
so it was probably summer of 90 or summer of 83, maybe. And I pulled a few items here. All right. So summer of 83, we were going, my church youth group was going on a kind of a spring break tour. So I guess it would have been actually spring. I can't remember exactly. The youth group was youth choir was going on a tour. We were going to Myrtle Beach. We were going to be singing them at different churches in between Kentucky and Myrtle Beach and back. And my music youth director, Mike Osborne, got this album.
Kind of love the style back then.
And let's get a lot of shine to it. So he taped it, put it on a cassette tape, and brought it. Man,
Nice.
First of all, how about that hair?
It's the mustache that astounds me.
And what year
Well,
was
that Fu Manchu is epic.
The only
That's
guy that could pull off a mustache is Victor Newman. Okay, off Young and the Restless. That's it. Maybe Tom Selleck.
Never seen it. Don't know who it is.
Young and the Restless. The Newmans.
Let's see if I can
Very elite.
get it in there.
Is that his wife?
Yep, that's Russ and Tori.
Nice. Beauty pick.
But that is some pretty epic hair.
Oh yeah, for both.
I don't know whose hair is bigger. Well, hers is wider, his is higher.
She's really pretty. She
Yes.
maintained.
So anyway, so that I got that cassette. I'm a quiet person. I'm not clowning around with a whole lot of people, so I'm the kind of guy that'll put on the headphones and just be content listening to music as we ride down the road.
Mm-hmm.
And so I heard that album, and I don't think he saw that cassette tape the rest of the trip. I was wearing it out, and yeah. So I've been a huge fan since then. It probably wasn't long after that I started singing in church myself. And so when I would pick stuff to do, this is from his Imperials days.
Nice.
That's
And
an album?
then his first solo work,
You got some nice stuff there, Dale. Nice collection.
Metals, one of his albums, his self-titled album. And then The Way Home.
He shaved.
Yes, I like that. I like that style way better.
Me too.
That's the best for us.
So, yeah, I mean, I probably did more Russ Taff songs than anybody else that I was, picking songs from to do at church. So yeah, so that's kind of my background with him.
And you've met him, right?
Yeah, I generally go down to Bell Buckle every year.
Mm-hmm.
And he and it's for Russ and Tori Taff Bell Buckle weekend, and it's really cool because they do several concerts. They do like an acoustic mini concert on their front porch with hay bales, like you saw in the documentary.
Yeah.
And that's all, meet and greet kind of there. And then he'll do because his career was kind of more rock and pop, the first half of it, and then the second half of it was more.
Well, he had a
I
country.
don't want to say Southern gospel, but more toward the country Southern gospel vein for the back half. So usually the Saturday night concert is more of the front half of his career, and then the Sunday morning concert after brunch is more the music he did in the back half. And yeah, so it's always been a good time. In fact, let me see if I can share something here. Let's see if I remember how to do this. Okay, here we go. All right. So, yeah, that was from the first time I went.
And
Me
Scooby-Doo
and Dave
was there?
with Russ Taff and Scooby-Doo.
Wow.
Sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a good day. I mean, anytime you can hang out with Scooby and Russ and Dave.
I like
it's a good time.
The goatee better than just the mustache.
Yeah, no mustache.
That looks good though.
Yeah. And then so that's from the first year. And then the second year. That's from the second year.
Wow. Is he sitting down?
Yes.
I was gonna say, oh my god.
Because it was blazing hot. If you look, he's just drenched in sweat.
Wow. Yeah.
It was blazing hot that day.
Where's your hat? You should be wearing a hat.
Do what?
You should be wearing a hat. Look at it. It was blazing hot and you weren't wearing a hat.
I
have another thing to point out. The last picture was with Scooby, and this one you have Snoopy. Interesting.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Interesting. What kind of subliminal messages are you sending?
Watch.
Well, as soon as I figure it, I'll let you know just as soon as I figure it out.
Okay.
So yeah, those are from Bell Buckle and always a good time. Record Crate. Wow. Is this a new vinyl community channel? Let's see. I received Metals as a gift when it was new. Metals was a great album, probably one of his Jeff McCormick in the house. I don't think I've ever seen Dale with no hat. No, I've actually done a few videos now, not in the past year because of coronavirus. I've been cutting my own hair.
No way. Let me
see. Show us.
Yeah, so there's not going to be.
Do it.
There's not going to be any hatless videos for at least another couple weeks. Yeah, so yeah, we always have a great time down there in Bell Buckle and have gotten to know. So I should give a couple shout outs also to Susan and Larry Hall. Larry Hall is Russ's keyboardist, and his wife Susan has kind of adopted me and Dave into the family. She's always looking for us when we go there. And then my buddy Crystal Lynn, who may be the one person who's a bigger Russ Taff fan than even me. And so yeah, it's always a great time, and I'm probably not going to be very objective when it comes to them because these are people I care deeply about and love to see every year.
Of course.
So
that's cool deal.
So anybody else that's come in here still wondering a little bit about Russ's career. So the documentary kind of laid that out a little bit. He started with his own band, Sounds of Joy, that he put together as when he was younger, and then the Imperials heard him, the quartet. I've got, of course, we got the Imperials. Try to get the glare off that. And the Imperials were a big deal. They've been recording since the 60s. At one point, they were under contract and were appearing with Elvis Presley.
Really?
And now, I don't think that was during Russ's years. I think that was already over by then. But they had kind of come from the Southern gospel tradition. But especially when they got Russ, they went more pop. And they knew what they had because he started, like the documentary said, he started getting more and more solos, and their sound was really revolving around his voice. And then of course he left. Probably his most successful album from the early '80s. Oh yeah, great picture on this one too.
No
I need to ask him about that picture sometime, huh?
Yeah, love it. Except for the mustache.
Huh?
Except for the mustache.
Yeah, we're anti-mustache, Russ.
We're
anti-mustache.
And only Victor Newman can, hold on to that.
Who's Victor Newman?
From Young and the Restless, get with it.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Anyway, at the point of this album, he was probably second only to Amy Grant in popularity. Amy Grant was red hot. Of course, you two, neither one of you were born yet, were you?
84.
Huh?
I'm 84, year of the rat.
You were born in 84?
Sure was.
Yeah, that was the year I graduated high school.
Nice.
So yeah, at that point, very successful. What people don't realize is Russ, because unfortunately people don't seem to really value a lot of the Christian artists. He gets forgotten about, but he's won 6 Grammys, 18 Dove Awards, 3-time Gospel Music Hall of Famer.
Mm-hmm.
And we could probably play. Forget 5 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. I could probably do, at least with musicians, do that with Russ easily because he worked with so many rock artists and pop artists in the first half of his career, and then all the Southern gospel legends in the back half of his career. That there aren't too many. There aren't too many people that I can't get, that I probably couldn't do the 5 Degrees of Russ Taff with.
I have to admit, I wasn't sure who he was, but when I was actually watching the documentary, I was very impressed. I was like, wow, like he's achieved so much. How come I not heard of him before, right? But
well, yeah, and that's unfortunately the way Christian music works. They treat it like disposable pop music. And but I mean, he has had the song that he and Tori wrote together, "We Will Stand," is an absolute classic that that's still gets used quite a bit these days. Let's see here. We got he must have seen David Lee Roth on the back of VH1 and tried to mimic it and failed. I'd have to look at that album cover again. I guess he's referring to the picture on Metals.
Oh.
Metals was his most rocking record. I think that the third album, Russ Taff, was actually his most heaviest album. Jeff saying Metals was pretty rocking, but there's some edgy, harder stuff on his follow-up. I agree with Jeff on that. Yeah. All right. So that kind of brings us up on his career. So let's start talking about this documentary. We kind of start out with his childhood. I'm trying to remember. I think they started in Arkansas and then ended up in California. His dad being a Pentecostal preacher and a pretty tough one, and but also being an alcoholic. And there were some things. Well, I guess for me, listening to the early part of that, I definitely get the dysfunction. The message of the dysfunction of the family is pretty. If you've been through a dysfunctional family, I think it resonates.
Oh, for sure. You basically are like a product of your environment, but then you've got to make those choices yourself, right? And whatnot. And in that case, I 100% validate him. What his dad, not justify what happened, that it's right, but I understand completely. I'm very empathetic towards why they would have wanted to, numb their emotions and how they learned it from pre-generations, right? Like, what you're taught.
Right. And this was Russ. Russ is 66?
67.
67. And
November 11th. I know that because Remembrance Day.
So that puts his dad, pre Alan Alda and Oprah, men didn't talk about their feelings, and I can relate to that. Excuse me. Yeah, because I grew up with that.
It's funny. You can sing your feelings, but talking about feelings is different. It's kind of like an accent. When you're talking, the accent is there, but when you're singing, it's gone.
Yeah.
Music is so universal, right? It's just, it brings everything, lets you be able to be free.
Yeah. And my family was kind of broke up by dysfunction on my mom's side. My grandfather was abusive. Well, it's my lights trying to go out. My mom was abused by her father, and that just has really shaken up the family. Now, my roots go through Harlan, Kentucky, and I don't know what that means to you ladies. Huh?
Harlem?
Brandy doesn't know about Harlan, Kentucky.
Harlan, no. I thought you said Harlem. I'm like, Harlem?
So Harlan is coal mining country. So you can think, especially, and then my mom would have been 81. She was born in 1940. So you think about Eastern Kentucky, coal mining, poor, extremely poor coal mining area. And so when Russ talks about the family secret, I get it. Because it was never...
Kentucky, Mandy knows the only reason I know Kentucky is it's the red square on Monopoly, right next to Indiana.
I don't know why you all even get to play it.
Literally, every time you say Kentucky, I think of Monopoly. At least I'm thinking of that and not Colonel. Like the KFC. Do we have a Canadian? It's probably hockey related, if anything.
Monopoly? You don't have a Canadian Monopoly?
Unless it's, yeah, maybe, probably. They probably made one. They made dog one, so. Dale probably is the cat one, right? You have the cat Monopoly?
No, I have two Monopoly games. One's Star Wars, one's Godzilla.
Nice. And if
So-
Russ Taff would have one, you would have it. He should make
Probably.
a Monopoly.
A
A
gospel
gospel.
Monopoly. I don't think you can gamble. You can't
Yeah.
like.
With all the different, and then they can promote all other gospel musicians and everyone in the thing with it. So it's kind of like a two for one.
Yeah.
Entertainment and promoting.
Instead of like getting hotels and you get Grammys. You put a Grammy on your little thing.
Exactly. I just came up with that idea, so if it ever comes out, I
Trademark
want
it.
royalties.
TM.
Y'all heard it from here. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
So,
That was our
but
first
yeah,
game.
but I definitely was. So when he talked about the family secret, I definitely understood where he was coming from, because my family never did address it. And when my mom tried to address it in the mid 80s, it fractured the family. I've got 2 uncles and 2 aunts that I have no idea whether they're even living or dead. I mean, they just, and that's the crazy part about it. So she not only went through that as a teenager, but now as an adult, she got abandoned by everybody, which is just crazy.
Hmm.
And so, yeah,
Wow.
I've got cousins. I don't know if they're living or dead. I mean, it just, and then of course that led to her struggling to know what I mean, when your dad's abusing you, try picking a husband.
Mm-hmm.
So she was married 3 times. I've got a brother and 2 sisters that I did not grow up with because of it.
Hmm.
And her trying to deal with the shame of having given them up to the father. Man, it just wrecked this family from one end to the other.
I can imagine.
But nobody talks about it. And nobody acknowledges anything. The only reason why I know what my mom was telling me was the truth was because when she was dying, I had to get into her steel box and found a letter that she had written. My grandmother tried to ship her off to California to live with an aunt. And so my mom had written that aunt, but then the niece or the daughter of the aunt wrote back and said, trying to give mom some answers and said, so I know that everything my mom was saying was true, but the family never acknowledged anything.
Wow. No, I agree. I think avoidance, a lot of families, it's easier to avoid than to deal with it, right? Everyone's got so much other things to go on the go, and I find that happens a lot. You can't. I'm a pro. Never go to bed angry, that type of thing. Like I also have a lot of anxiety, so I'm the type that has to fix things right away, or I'll worry too much too. So there's that. I guess that's a good thing. I can't sleep until it's fixed.
Yeah. And then I also could kind of relate to, he talked about, not knowing what kind of, his dad come home, but he didn't know who, which dad was coming. And so he put his brother between, him and the wall, kind of trying to protect him. And I could kind of relate to that too. I remember once, I was out in South Dakota with my biological father, and I guess he thought it was cute to tell my mom on the phone that I hadn't thought about her since I had left her and was out there with him. And I overheard it, and what he didn't realize was, you're talking to a mama's boy. She raised me, and I must have been only like 8. And I stood up and I called him a liar before I even thought about it. And I remember him getting really mad and me running and locking myself in the bathroom. And then next thing I know, he's beating on the door, and I'm thinking, all right, do I? And I don't know that I mean, I knew him, but I didn't really know him. He's beating on that door, and I'm thinking, okay, do I open that door? Is he going to beat me when I open that door? It's and then I had a stepbrother that used to like to push me around a lot, and that's not a good place to be, where you feel insecure in your own home. Yeah. And so there was a lot of the dysfunction that just rang true all the way through. And it's tough stuff to deal with. There's parts of me that I still catch myself, even though I haven't seen my stepbrother. He used to like to grab me by the arm, and I haven't seen that punk in 20, 30 years.
Wow.
There's still part of me, but there was a huge age difference. I was like a third grader when he was a senior in high school. And there's still a part of me that would like to run into him today and say, okay, I'm not a little kid anymore. Put your hands on me now. Huh. That kind of stuff doesn't go away.
Nope. Oh, Brandy. Oh, she is.
My thing went bye-bye. I could hear you.
So
you couldn't see me.
I'm just curious, were there other parts for you two that the dealing with his childhood?
Not the childhood. No, I really felt for Tori, but we can get into that later if you want to talk about the childhood.
How about you, Brandy?
Well, I'm an only child. Mine was more actually kind of like the opposite. Like, I know abuse and all that's more in your face kind of. Mine was my dad left when I was 3 and I didn't know him. So same thing with you, like his side of the family and whatnot. So not having a dad, there's that would you rather have like an abusive father or no father kind of thing? And it's like both suck. So I had the no father type deal. So I'd say that was more my kind of childhood, and I didn't have siblings or anything. It was just me and my mom, so a different type of situation, that's for sure. But still requiring that father role. I think the father role is so underestimated or underrated, and because the mom bond with the child is so important, but a father and what a father can instill, both daughter and son, is crazy important. So
yeah. Mm-hmm. And I'm probably lucky that I had my stepdad. He wasn't a perfect guy, but he was there. I think a lot of my moral compass comes from him.
Yeah, same here. And they were the ones that chose to be in our lives too, right? They're not blood.
Yeah.
They made a choice, and that says it all.
Yeah. And I know when I was growing up, it was, well, when Mom and Jigs got married, he had so my stepfather's name's real name is Clarence. But rather than me try to figure out, I didn't like calling him by his first name. Dad didn't feel right, so I got to call him Jigs, which was his nickname, and he was cool with that, and I appreciated that. And I told him, when he was, because he died of cancer in '95, and I remember writing him a card for Father's Day, and I let him know, for me, Jigs was the closest word I know to Dad. Yeah. So, yeah, that gets that's real important, and Russ really didn't have that. I think another thing that struck me, I felt so bad listening to him talk about it, was going to church and them telling him he wasn't welcome.
Mm-hmm.
And
or the mom using him as a spouse,
Oh yeah,
dumping all her adult problems on him, and leaving him like with that, like just using him as the venting thing, so she doesn't have to confront it with the real person she should be confronting it with. That's sad.
Yeah,
a mom, you shouldn't do that. You're supposed to take away the problem. You're supposed to make everything all right all the time, right? And you can't be.
Yeah, but my mom,
that. I felt bad. I think abuse like that, was brutal.
That rang true, because I know my mom often went through that, because it was like her parents were like children. And she told me once, she said, she was talking about my younger uncle. He was kind of the baby of the family, and he got meningitis. And Mom had to make the call to get him to the hospital. And if she hadn't made that, if she hadn't pushed them to get him there, it would have killed him. As it is, he's deaf because of it. But that's that. My mom wasn't even a teenager when she's making these decisions. And she said my uncle, my little, her little brother, was going around calling her mom. I think that something just happened in Canada.
I guess Canada's gone. Mm-hmm. Oh well. So where are we at? Childhood still?
Yeah. Just kind of going over that.
Yeah.
I think when I look at Russ, I see some similarities between him and my mom. My mom was the kind of person to wow, she just dropped out.
Bye, Brandy.
I'll keep an eye out for her on the control stand here. But yeah, my mom was the kind to always see people. We'd be walking into a Walmart. Mom would be stopped at the door. I'd look back. Mom wouldn't be there. She'd be back at the door helping somebody with a wheelchair get in the door. And I just think, so I think she saw people and they're hurt. I think that's a similarity between her and Russ. I guess Russ has been through it so much that here she is. She's back.
Welcome back. I think you can just
something's going on in Canada.
Huh.
Yeah, let's see if I can
blame it on the Canadians.
All right. So your husband just made the point. Seeing how it affects each of you, I think Russ Taff's story holds such an emotional impact for so many people, it will make a great book. Well, not only did it make a great documentary, Vin is right, it also
oh dear Lord, you're obsessed.
is a book. Huh?
You're obsessed.
Well, I wanted to. The book I knew would cover different ground, and it did. There's some detail in here you can't fit into a documentary. And when I was when I was still at St. Patrick's, I had 3 guys read this book.
Did you?
Yeah. 3 guys that were state guys that were they were scared because they were dealing with substance abuse issues and were afraid that once they got out that they'd fall back into it.
Yeah.
So I had them read this book, and they wrote letters, and I took them down. They wrote letters to Russ, and I took them down for them.
Well.
So anyway, so we're kind of getting through the childhood part of it. And then I think they, in the documentary, that after dealing with kind of the childhood issues, then we kind of talked about his career. They covered a lot of his early career, which we've kind of already done. And it was a nice. I will say this with the documentary, that was nice pacing on their part, because it's such the whole documentary is so heavy that you kind of need that little break to discuss music. And so what did all right, knowing that they got married on Halloween, did you enjoy their story about their honeymoon?
The trick-or-treaters.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
They're counting the cash, and there you go.
And then all of a sudden there's the trick-or-treaters.
That's funny.
I think Russ's birthday is somewhere in there.
November 11th, Dale.
November 11th.
1953.
I keep dropping.
What's going on with you?
I don't know.
It sometimes you freeze and then you move suddenly, and it's real creepy.
Borders, probably doing something at borders.
Yeah.
What?
It looks like something out of a horror movie.
Like we have a ghost down below us.
I'm the new Freddy.
Okay. So,
telling you, one day we're gonna do a horror movie, you too. And then we got to do an office one just so I can see Mandy in her glory.
We've already done an office one.
Oh, darn it!
That's why I'm allowing Dale to do this one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we only covered 2 episodes of The Office.
Oh, I mean, if you're saying you want to do the entire series, message received. I'm on it.
I just want to see Mandy and all her toys.
No. So then we got to the part where he starts talking about his addiction.
Mm-hmm.
And how I'm guessing he's already into his career quite a bit. Don't know exactly when, but he talks about drinking some Heinekens and making him numb.
Well, he was feeling empty, like he was winning and winning and winning, right? All the awards, and that wasn't satisfying him. Right? That was before he met Tori, right? That was like the first time.
They were already married.
They were already married? Oh, okay. So, yeah, he was just like there was something going on. The awards were not doing it for him anymore. He wanted something more.
Yeah. And that's the tough part, boy. If you wondered if it is genetic, Russ kind of clears that up for you, because you think about it. His dad was an alcoholic.
Mm-hmm.
He's an alcoholic, and in the book he talks more about his brothers. I think all struggled with addiction as well.
Okay.
I mean, so there is quite a bit in heredity and in genes to kind of make people more addictive. And man, what a terrible burden for a gospel singer to be hiding alcoholism. And like he said, at first it seemed like a blessing, but then it quickly became even more shameful for him.
Mm-hmm. He was like he was being hypocritical, right? Here he's gospel and preaching, to do well, and he's an alcoholic and lying and doing all this stuff in the back. So which it turned him into a bigger downward spiral, because once you don't like yourself and what you're doing, he drank more and more and more. So
yeah, and he really had no. It's not like he had great self-esteem to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Now you talked, Amanda. You were talking about how Tori's side of the story really kind of touched you.
Oh yeah, I have to watch what I say, because I don't want to offend anybody, especially you respect him so much. But I couldn't do it. I couldn't have done it. There's no way I could have done what she did. So I sincerely hope that he truly appreciates that she stuck it out. I mean, I think it's wonderful that he recovered, but not every woman in the world would have stuck by that.
Right.
I didn't.
Right.
Was it similar? Do you think it was the type of addiction that made the difference, or do you think it was just the person? Like, what do you think made it so that Tori could, you couldn't type deal?
Probably more so her faith, I guess. I don't know.
From what I remember hearing them talk about it, I think Tori mentioned the fact that Russ never ran from the responsibility of it. So, to give a clear picture of what his addiction, I believe, looked like, was he would have bouts where he'd struggle with it, and then he would go years. He could go years with being totally sober.
Yeah.
And then another event would happen. I think there were two major. So over the course of this time, the periods that got real bad were like when his dad died and when his mom died.
Yeah.
And I think it was because he was so confused. He loved them dearly, but he also hated them for what they put him through.
It was more or less his mom he was more angry with, because she let it happen. Why didn't she do anything? Her job as a mom is to protect him, and yet he seemed to have more bitterness towards the mom when he was talking, which understandable, right? I get it.
I don't know. I don't know I don't know. I kind of had a different perception on it. I kind of thought it was kind of a little of both. I mean, his dad was hard on him, and but just looking at from what I understand, it was each one of their deaths that helped, that would help push him back into the addiction. One thing that I think that I took from this, as far as treatment, it seemed like it didn't really. The treatments never really took. And you heard Tori with that comment about, so we're going to, go back in their retirement again and blow our retirement, sending Russ back to the hospital, but that last one, and maybe it comes out more in the book too, but they really walked him through his childhood issues. So until you deal with the childhood issues, you can't really touch the addiction.
Oh yeah, you always gotta. The mental health has to be corrected.
Yeah.
First, or you're just gonna keep repeating it.
Yeah. So I think, but yeah, I mean, it's amazing that Tori stuck by him, especially, when she was talking about the incident where he came back from the gospel taping and he had gotten drunk there, and then she's got him in the bedroom trying to get him to sleep it off, and while she's making brownies out in the kitchen, trying to keep her
kid from
her kids, taken care of. That's some amazing stuff.
Yeah.
No, for sure. Mandy, I actually have a question for you, man. So maybe this could be the difference of it, where Russ, yes, he was hiding it a little bit and whatnot, but when it came to accountability, he was cooperative for the most part. Like, he took accountability, apologized. In your case, was he cooperative at all, or was he really, like, I'm curious, just like against, not wanting help and blaming other people and deflecting? Did that make it more difficult?
Most definitely, yeah. I mean, I can see where Russ took accountability and was sorry, but that also makes you think, was he really, or was he just saying what he needed to say so she didn't leave? Because he kept doing it. I don't know. I don't want to talk bad about the guy. I don't know the guy. I'm sure he's a wonderful guy. I'm just saying, personal. I wouldn't have.
Yeah.
I mean, I made it the first time, you know what I mean? But then the second time, no. Getting up on stage and embarrassing himself. And the name that, you know what I mean? She's helped him build this career and this name, and he embarrassed her. I don't know. There should be a Tori Taff documentary. I'm Team Tori.
Well, I think she had pretty much. I mean, I think this was pretty much a joint effort. I mean, it had his name on it.
Yeah.
On the title, but I think it was pretty much her story too. I think
she deserves a separate story, a freaking Superwoman story.
Right. I think though, when you look at addiction, though, I think, and you talk about repeating the behavior, I think. I think that it's a little bit more complicated than that. I don't know that someone with an addiction can just, I mean, they can be thoroughly disgusted with their behavior. But just turning it off, it doesn't always work like that. I have heard the statement made that that sometimes what I'm trying to think of the technical word for kind of falling off the wagon, that relapse is part of recovery.
Yeah.
And I know this. I know because I've worked with the homeless, and you and I have worked with inmates and stuff.
Brandy was an inmate.
Orange is the New Black was based on my story.
Oh, okay. But
guess which character I was?
Yeah, I knew a guy. Well, I knew more than one guy that was dealing with those type of issues. That man, I mean, it just dogged them, and they had no self esteem because of it. Because they were having a hard time, and you just keep telling them, just keep trying. Don't give up. Whatever you do, don't give up.
Yeah.
And I think there's a scriptural basis for it. And I'm no theologian, but I do know that there's a section in the Bible, New Testament, where Paul talks about not being able. Why do I do the things that I don't want to do? And so I don't know. I think that sometimes it's just it's tough. The lines are messy, and in Russell's story, from what like I said, from what I've gathered, it was a case of long periods of sobriety, and then there would be a trigger. There would be a major event, and from what I gathered, two of the major events that really threw him were the deaths of his father and then later his mother.
Yeah, I think I think I'm just biased because everybody has major events. Everybody goes through trauma, and I'm surrounded by addicts. I work with addicts. I don't live with addicts, but I have in the past, and I have addicts in my family, and I don't have a whole lot of sympathy because I'm on the other end of dealing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know how to phrase it. I don't know.
Well, I get it because I kind of,
but I don't have sympathy at the same time.
I get it because of the whole, like, my dad leaving when I was 3, and then my mom being divorced twice, one like when I was younger, and then later. Usually children of divorce or whatnot tend to rebel or get into, messy situations or not trust or not love again or have issues with commitment. But I'm opposite. I chose okay, I accept it. She wasn't happy, with it. I learned it's how you react to it that matters, right? So I was like you, Mandy. I could have chosen the one path, but I chose the other path, not the statistical, stereotypical path.
And it's harder to choose our path than it is to choose the other path. So it makes you feel like you took the easy way out. To deal with the same stuff that everybody in nobody has a perfect life. Everybody has to deal with it.
Right.
So deal with it.
But if you have a genetic disposition,
don't we all?
No. I can literally. Well, I don't. I mean, I can tell you what I've tried and how quickly I gave it up. I mean, the things that. I mean, for me, and I know too many people that have said, once I start, I can't get stopped. But I know for certain. For alcohol and drugs, I've had one drink in my life. I was 23 and hanging out with a college girl, and she got me drinking a bourbon and Coke. It tasted nastier the longer I drank it, and I had gas all the next day. And I said, "That's it."
You haven't drank since?
No.
Because of that one experience.
Right.
Wow.
I mean, I don't have the genetic disposition that needs it. Same thing. I took smoking. I took one puff off my aunt's cigarette that she let me have when I was like 5. I wanted to throw up. I was done. I never tried it again. I
haven't smoked a cigarette. Not even a little puff, nothing.
I've never smoked a cigarette either.
Oh, boom. You are more rebellious than us, Dale, when it comes to cigarette smoking.
Oh, wow.
Dale.
Smoker.
My buddies tried to get me to dip once. Said, nope, Not that I did it once to satisfy them. It was disgusting. I was done. I've never smoked marijuana.
Well,
Me neither. Me neither.
I'm in Canada.
I thought you two were having a 420 celebration sometime soon.
No, that would have been
today's May the 4th to be with you. But yeah,
that would have been April 20th. But no, I've never smoked. I've never smoked either. Never.
Really?
No desire. But I grew up around it, and it just made me have absolutely no desire to want to.
Right. But see, I don't think my ability to say no to substance, whether it's alcohol, drugs, and I've been on pain pills, but I've never I've never taken one that wasn't prescribed. And usually usually when I come off pain pills quick because I hate the way they make me feel. But I don't necessarily believe that my ability to say no to alcohol and say no to pain pills and say no to whatever I've come across is a great character, because I have such great character. I just think, one, I've been blessed that I just don't have the gene for it.
What are you addicted to though, Dale? Like, what is your happy place?
Look behind him. Can you not see all of that behind him? All his drugs back there?
I have a vinyl addiction.
So if you had no, let's just say you weren't allowed to collect that ever again, how would that make you feel?
Oh.
Like an addiction to something that much where you feel like you won't.
Well, I'm just kind of joking there. It's not like I'd have to have it. I mean, I think...
you feel sad. So then what would you do? What would be your next thing you would do if you couldn't collect vinyl anymore?
Well, I'm not going to go like looking for illegal vinyl or...
No. I'm just actually curious what your next addiction would be. If not vinyl, what would it be?
Back alley trying to buy it.
Black market vinyl. But it's my point is, I guess, just coming across is they don't have, not to, because I'm like with Mandy in the part where everyone has a choice in a sense, but I get why they went into that path. And they didn't have that happy place. Like, I find if I'm depressed, it's because I'm not able to have my outlets, like whether it be like a movie or a hot tub or a bath or a glass of wine. If I don't have that kind of, or I guess the outlet is the glass of wine, but if I'm not happy, that's when I want to resort to something that numbs me, because I don't have something fun that will distract me, right? So if I don't have the fun thing, I'm going to go to something that numbs me. But I personally don't have like I would though. I would go to and have that drink if I could, but I can stop at that, So I guess it depends on how serious your situation is, and genetics maybe too. But like, I do have a lot of alcoholism in my family, but I can stop, So I don't know, man. I'd like to hear the.
There is that tension of making that choice, and then having the responsibility of that choice. But without having
for sure,
had an addiction to a substance, I think it sometimes gets kind of hard. Now, my mom smoked from the time she was a teenager till she was in her 60s. And I know she tried multiple times. She had to make up her mind that she really wanted to get off the cigarettes in order to do it. Mm-hmm. Now, fortunately, she was only really hurting herself with cigarettes. It's not like alcohol or other hard drugs where it's a mood, changes moods and makes you abusive or anything of that nature. But I don't know. I see your all's point about the choice and having to make it. But at the same time, I do think there has to be some sort of, when you can look at a family and see a father and then all the sons that come behind them having addiction problems.
But see, I don't see that as a genetic thing. I see that as a product of your like nature versus nurture. I think that it's just like if you were raised to be a racist, then they'll tend to be a racist, and then they'll raise their kids to be a racist. And it's like, it's not like they were born to teach that person to be a racist. Like, it's not in their genetics to be a racist. They were taught to be a racist. So if you're abused, you're going to abuse your next son, and then they're going to abuse the next. It's all, I think, taught. But I get the emotional scars from it. Like, for example, with my anxiety, it's not easy to say, like, calm down, right? I can't calm down, right? It's tougher. So I get that maybe addiction part where it's tough to stop because I can't calm down, just like an anxiety thing like that, right? So I get it. It's a challenge. I empathize, and I 100% think it's nobody's fault but the generation prior and the generation prior. And kudos to the people that, if they do fall, at least acknowledge it and fight to get back. And that's, what I really respect about Russ, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to
is
come
that
off
he,
like
in the end, acknowledged it.
And talking bad about this.
What's that?
I'm not. I don't want to come off like I'm talking.
No. We're having a discussion.
I totally empathize with him as well. He had all kinds of trauma in his life. I totally see why he did what he did. I'm just saying, if I was Tori, I wouldn't have done what she did.
Oh, and let's and that's a good point to make because that was an important part of this documentary, was Tori saying, I could love him, but I can also leave him if I need to. And if she felt like she had to, for her sake and for the sake of her daughters, then she could have. And I don't blame anybody if they reach that point.
Yeah,
and nobody would be blaming Tori if she had made that decision.
No, but the one thing about Tori that I really, 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 really respect is that she, right from the get-go, told him what it was. She wasn't that, person that was like, let him do it. And like, he was hiding it, right? But the moment she found out, she let him have it, and she let him have it hard. Like she said she was going to ruin him, right? She's like, I'm going to ruin you. Like, that girl knows, it's not like, oh, a little leash, here you go. Oh, please, baby, don't know. And not everyone's like that, though. Usually the person on the opposite end of abusive drunk is more weak, but Tori's not weak.
Oh, no.
She's emotionally strong, confident, secure in herself, and that's why he also,
No. But
Tori's awesome.
If you got to see him now,
Let's do a Tori book.
That's what I said. That's what I said. She needs her own documentary, separate from him.
But I think if you could see them now, it would really warm your all's hearts that they could recover their marriage in the way that they have.
That's good. That's great.
No, that's because they're super special people. Like I said, she's super strong going in, and he is like humble. He's very humble and fights for it.
Yeah. Yeah. So overall, I thought it was a really worthwhile project, a documentary that they put together. In fact, did either one of you see my name in the credits?
You told me to look.
I didn't.
I did not.
Yeah. I just gave them a few bucks. And so they put some of us that did that got our name in the credits of the movie. I didn't hardly feel like I gave them enough to even get a credit in the movie, but I was glad to do it because I really thought this story gives people hope that it doesn't have to end tragically.
No, for sure. And do you guys know the song "Unanswered Prayers" by Garth Brooks?
I do not know that song.
What, Dale?
So-
Come on.
I'm not a big Garth guy.
Should we sing it?
Oh, see, now there's a documentary.
Please,
Then we'll get
please,
him
sing
to watch
to
that.
me. I would love it if the two of you would sing this Garth Brooks song to me.
Pass.
Thank God for unanswered prayers. So basically, Dale, if I was gonna think of this whole documentary in his life as kind of like the message of thank God for unanswered prayers. So, you know, the time when you really, really want something, you're like, oh God, please let this happen, and it doesn't happen, and then you're like, oh God, why didn't you answer my prayer? Like, where were you? Right? Just like Russ, right? Like, where were you, God? You know, when dad's beating me and mom's doing this, and or drink, you know, that like God left me, right? Kind of thing.
Yeah.
And some people turn against God, like, why? You weren't answering my prayer, right? So you must not love me, you must abandon me. But then something else happens to you later on in life that was meant to happen. So it was like that prayer was meant to not be answered. You were meant to, you know, his parents were maybe meant just to bring him in the world, right? And to teach him certain lessons of what not to do. But then his true parents that God chose him was it June?
Oh, yeah, that was something I should have covered was how wonderful was Mama June.
Exactly. And then Tori, same thing. She was his chosen partner. She's strong enough, and he was, you know, that kind of thing. So I think that song resonates with his life, where he had to deal with those tribulations and the problems and whatnot. God wasn't answering his prayers then, but he did later. And that can say to other people in the world, right? Like, if you don't get what you want now, just know that things happen for a reason, and it's probably preparing you, or you're meant to have something else. God has something else planned for you, right? So just be hopeful for that.
Yeah. She froze.
She did. She's been possessed. Oh, Betty White's on. Hey, Betty.
That's, you know, I guess if you're going to make, if you're going to make a dramatic point, and that's the way to do it, just freeze your screen at the end of your point.
Oh well, moving on without Brandy and this flattering frozen picture of her.
Oh my.
Okay, 9:12.
9:12.
Let's come to a conclusion.
Well, I think conclusions. I guess my biggest conclusion would be, if you watch this and you're struggling with issues, just don't give up. Don't give up. Yeah. Keep fighting. And I don't know. I guess I guess the main thing too is just remember God loves you now. Not just, it's not based on whether or not you can beat the addiction or not. He loves you now, and so keep fighting. But here we go. We got our Canadian back.
What?
Wow.
Where this COVID stuff, I bet you they're like at the border.
COVID did not mess with your computers.
With my internet kind of thing, being like, what's up? And checking it all out. And
well, I think,
but you know what? God's sending me a message right now.
Move out of Canada.
No YouTube for you. I make a point, and then he didn't agree with that point. Maybe, you know,
move to a part of Canada, at least where they have decent. I mean,
I'm at the capital, Ottawa, just out, but I'm on a rural. Try saying that 5 times fast.
Rural
5 times fast.
You can't say rural.
Rural 5 times fast.
Say it 5 times fast. in a row.
You say it one time correctly.
Rural.
Rural.
Rural. Rural.
You sound like
Okay,
Scooby
can you
Doo.
say Irish?
Rural.
Can you say Irish wrist
Rural.
watch?
Irish wrist watch.
Yeah, Irish wrist watch.
Irish
wrist watch.
I tell you something else that's hard to
Unique
say. Shoulder
New
surgery.
York.
Say that 5 times fast.
Shoulder
You had
surgery?
Who, me? Yeah, you know I had
This is the first I've heard of it.
shoulder surgery.
Say cesarean section.
What do you mean this is the first you've heard of my surgery?
I didn't know anything about it.
Remember when I had the surgery right before we locked down for COVID?
No, you never told me this.
I couldn't raise my arm.
Oh my goodness.
Now you're messing with me. Now you're messing with me.
Raise your arm like that again.
What? At least I can. I mean, I couldn't raise it at
And
all
rural,
before the
rural.
surgery.
All right. Rural shoulder surgery wrist watch. Good night.
Unique New York. Good night.
I think she's
Hey.
trying to rush us off here, but we're having a good time. We haven't even gone our usual 90 minutes.
We go 90 minutes.
Typically.
No,
Oh, I thought we were saying
Listen.
goodbye.
Huh?
Nobody listens to us for 90 minutes, Dale. People stop 10 minutes into this video.
Probably.
Unless they're practicing this stuff now, what to say.
All right,
Probably.
you should tell people where they can watch this documentary, Dale.
Right now, I think Amazon's got it on Prime
For free.
for free.
Mm-hmm.
American only.
American only. Yeah, the Canadians have not gotten.
I still can't access Vin movies either. I was able to watch
I think it's
one
like-
movie before they got rid of it.
Yeah.
I think it's a COVID or something with the rights, and I don't know.
I'll mail you some. No, I won't mail you some. I can't even mail you anything.
My favorite one that I watched, well, the only one I watched with him in, was that My Teacher, My Obsession, or Dad's Crush. They changed the name
Yeah.
based on the thing where he was, I think, the principal in that one.
I'm in that too. I'm in the office.
Yeah, see, I want that one. I want to watch that movie again to see him and you, but I can't because it's nowhere to be found in
I mean, I
Canada.
was the star. I was in it for at least a second and a half. It revolved all around me.
See
So you
this.
actually made it to the screen that time.
For 1 second, yeah.
But you didn't you weren't in you didn't actually make it into the movie where you ran into the door, right?
I did not.
Okay.
Or paramedic.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. Bedtime.
So this has been good.
Oh, yeah.
Are we doing anything anytime soon? Think I heard a request from my girl.
Yeah, but there might be a Garth Brooks now documentary because he's got one out now too, and he's had some tribulations, you know, with Trisha Yearwood.
No. I love his music. I hate the person.
What about Charlie Sheen?
Charlie Sheen?
The Sheen family. Martin Sheen versus Emilio Estevez versus Charlie Sheen. Who done it better?
What are we gonna talk about? We're just gonna talk about them?
We're gonna have a debate where one of us has to be pro Martin, one of us has to be pro Charlie, and one of us has to be pro
Charlie Sheen all the way.
Emilio. Well, I'm Emilio. I love Emilio. So, boy, that means you're Martin.
Night at the Roxbury.
And we have to prove, based on our resources, why our Sheen is best. I'm telling you, mine's a Mighty Duck. A real good one.
Mine's got AIDS. I don't know.
I understand why Emilio is an Estevez and not a Sheen.
We can toy with that idea.
All right.
Dale.
We've left Dale speechless. Should we just start our own show?
Yeah. A Mandy and Brandy After Dark, unfiltered.
Yeah, so we can rate
Not
all that stuff we talk about in text messages where we send pictures. We can just talk about it.
exactly. You don't want to know the pictures I send her.
Oh, wow.
Well,
Okay, so what
I
movie are
do
we
have,
doing?
though, a type 1 toddler
Oh.
that I hear screaming, and he won't go to bed without me. So it's been a blast. Love y'all.
All right. So we'll talk via what is that program? WhatsApp. And
Messenger.
We'll decide what we want to do,
What's
and then I'll put it together.
Sounds good.
Sound good?
Adios.
All right. Well, for anybody that might actually
I'm
still
still
be
here.
watching this,
Russ Taff, I'm
thank you.
sorry if I offended you. I really do like you and your music. And the documentary was great.
Oh, now you try to butter them up.
I just didn't want to come off like I hated it. I did not hate it.
Okay.
I just have strong opinions about addiction.
Okay. All right. Well, if you have been watching this, we thank you for tuning in, and we hope to see you soon. And until we do, peace.
Peace.